So we're here with the incomparable Jeffrey Friday, founder, president of the American Black Film Festival. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for participating in our podcast.
It's my pleasure, brother. Good seeing you.
It's good seeing you too. It's been a little while. So
yes.
let's jump right in. I really want to. We've got about 20, 25 minutes that we want to talk about, and we want to get to the festival itself, about what's happening in June. However, we started this out. We thought about you in terms of the transformative leadership in the arts, and how leaders like yourself are actually lifting up the arts and lifting up the artists that do the work. And I want to really focus on that a bit, and then sort of dovetail into the festival itself, because that's so important, especially in a time when a lot of our history and a lot of the things about who we are make us, important to this world, really is beginning to take a back seat, and people are not paying as much attention to that. So looking back, what was the defining moment or feeling that led you to create the American Black Film Festival?
Well, that's a great question. So as you may know, I started my career as an ad exec. And growing up in Newark, and I say to anyone who's familiar with Newark and my hometown, I call it's an incredible place, but it's a place where you don't meet people who have privilege. Like, no one in Newark had privilege. We didn't have rich uncles and relatives. Everyone had to work for what they got. So the one thing that Newark does do, it makes you really tough, and it helps you build a work ethic, because no one's giving us, there might be few exceptions, but you know what I mean. It's the land of no privilege, right? We had to figure it out. And when I got to Howard, I realized the legacy that we had. And I've always been very critical that we don't really learn about Black history in school, And I just realized how powerful everything African was. And that triggered this intense desire for me to show the world how wonderful our culture is, and how we've made contributions to this country that we don't get recognized for. And our contributions go beyond basketball and football and rap music, right? And urban culture. And so I just got passionate about it. So I wanted to I got in the advertising space. I was the president of an ad agency called Uniworld in the late 90s. And I went to the Sundance Film Festival in 1997 for the first time to see the film called Love Jones. My good friends Neil Long and Lorenz Tate were starring in that movie, as we all know. And the Sundance trip really inspired me to start the ABFF, the American Black Film Festival. What I found there was this incredible festival. There was not many people of color and very few women at the time, and they do a great job now, but that was 29 years ago. And Kareem, I just got inspired. I said, we could do this. We're the Black, it's very simple. We're the Black people. Would this work? If I built this for Black content, would people show up? Would people care? And what I found is that, yes, people did show up and people did care. And that led to the American Black, a trip to Sundance. That's why you got to wake up every morning, because you never know what God or Allah, whoever you worship, you never know what his or her goal for your life is, right? And so a vision for your life is. So that led me down this path. It gave me an opportunity to support our culture through support of this festival. And we've been doing it for almost 3 decades now.
Absolutely. And I think about what you said about Newark and the tough area it was, and how difficult it was growing up there, and we weren't given anything. However, there was something that we were given, right? That actually gave us the intestinal fortitude to be able to meet the challenges. And I'm certain that there were moments when, as you were developing the festival, that you felt like maybe this is going to be a little insurmountable, or this is going to be a challenge that is going to be difficult to overcome. What was it that you pulled on that actually got you over? Was it mentorship? Was it what you learned at the Mecca Howard University, what you took from Newark? What helped you be able to progress and move forward in spite of the major challenges?
Yeah, I think the only major challenge was the marginalization of what I was doing by the mainstream. Oh, it's a Black festival, right? What helped guide us is the strength of the community that supported it, and the success stories of the people who have come out of ABFF. It's really been what's inspired me. So Yes, Newark made me tough and intellectually tough. I'm not talking about physical street level. I'm talking about intellectually tough, resilient, right? And Howard University, the Mecca, instills this sense of pride and power that comes with. So that's a pretty powerful combination, brother, right? And so by the time you get through those two, you're ready to tackle the world. You understand who you are, you got the strength to make it work. But what really guided us, and the challenges were strictly financial, somebody had to pay for this, right? And what really guided us before companies were coming on and supporting it is really the connection to the people. I realized early on how important this was to the community. You know, the very first festival in 1997, only 90 people showed up, 9-0. Now we got 9,000 people, but 90 people showed up. But amongst those 90 people were Halle Berry and my brother, God rest his soul, John Singleton and Robert Townsend and Babyface, and Nia Lorenzo and Regina King. So we had a really strong bond of young artists, and we were all in our 20s, back in the day. And so it really just was the fact that I understood early on how this was valuable and how it was serving the community. And that really got us through all the tough spots.
We'll talk about some of the specific success stories or moments from past festivals that stand out for you in particular.
Will Packer is one example. I think about people, I think about individuals, but I don't like to focus on people because I think it minimizes the broader impact. There are thousands of people who call me, hit me, email me, say, Jeff, thank you guys for what you've done because of ABFF, I met this person that led me to financing. But the more visible examples, Will Packer's first film premiered at our festival back in 1998, I think it was. He's gone on through the support of the festival and his talent. These are all incredibly talented people, and all we do is just give them a place to breathe. Like give them a place. We help them plant the seed for the rest of their lives, right? We don't drive their success, but we give them a place that the world can see how great they is. Will Packer's the greatest. He's going on. I think his films have grossed over $1 billion as a producer, and he's having an incredible run. Ryan Coogler, as I just mentioned, his first project premiered at ABFF in 2011 or 2012. And I don't think I got to talk about how successful he's been. And people like Issa Rae, and who's a dear friend, and her first web series premiered at ABFF in I think 2014 or 2013. Kerry Washington's first film, where she was the lead, premiered at ABFF. That's where I met her the first time. And Taraji, and the list goes on. A lot of the people that we support and that are doing amazing things in this business had their first film or their first project come through ABFF many years ago. So it's that place where you can, it's kind of like a farm system. It was where Black talent comes to thrive, man. And so we've had thousands of success stories. I could go on, but those are the more forward-facing people.
What comes to me is that I'm certain that the coming together and that feeling of solidarity has a lot to do, with that forward progress and success. However, there must be some other ingredients that really help to create or help the artist to actually reach the pinnacle of their career. Can you talk about that? Because I know there's a plethora, of activities that are there for, the artists and professionals that actually come to the festival. So talk to us about that and dovetail into your programming pillars.
Yeah, so programming pillars are really about community and connection and access and recognition. Here's why it works. We invited the industry to support the filmmakers. So if we gathered independent filmmakers from all over the world in one place, and we were all in search of the same thing, some exposure to work and some access to information, but no one who could help us move our careers forward was there, we wouldn't really get anywhere. So this is kind of an artistic advocacy event, but we invite all the studios to support. So in 1998, 28 years ago, we brought in HBO, and they've been a supporter of the festival for almost 30 years now. We brought in NBC Universal 15 years ago, and Netflix and Hulu and Amazon. So the creators are there with the studio reps and the producers and the people who can hire these people. And that's really what makes it work. You got to have people who can kind of advance the careers of the people who are there creatively. And that's really the model. It's really about community connection and access to decision makers in Hollywood.
Absolutely. So in recent years, there's been a growing conversation around diversity in the entertainment industry, but challenges still remain, obviously. How do you believe the festival can help shift the industry's power dynamics to create more lasting structural change?
The only way it does is the festival's got to support people. And then when the people that we support get in power, they've got to have a commitment to broaden the workplace. So the festival supports a young producer. And then when that young producer gets in a seat where he or she could make a decision to hire other young Black and brown producers, they've got to do that too. And Kareem, what I've done for almost 30 years is we don't ask for anything. The only thing that I ask you to do, if you think I've supported you, is I ask you to just reach back and support somebody else. And if we all follow that mission, that's the mandate. We helped you. Now you got to go help 5 people. And if everyone does that, we kind of fix this. We're not going to shift attitudes towards diversity. We're not going to change the way our current administration feels about Black and brown and anything that ain't, in that box. But what we have to do is we have to continue to rely on each other, support each other, and support each other economically. Right? We have to continue to support each other and give back. So if nothing else, I hope the people that we support through this event will be more committed to see the power of collaboration within the Black community and continue to support each other. That's the only way. So we don't need diversity programs. We're our own diversity program. When we get in power, we got to commit to it. I'm all about self-empowerment, man, and self-validation. None of this is asked for permission.
ABFF has consistently blended a mix of film screenings, master classes, and networking opportunities. So how do you curate the programming to ensure it stays relevant to both the industry and the community of filmmakers?
Yeah, we have a team of about 11 people who work on this full time that curate the films. We have a group that curates the films. We get about 1,000 to 2,000 submissions in every year from all over the world. This year we're actually adding an event called the South Africa Showcase, where we're showcasing films by brothers and sisters from Johannesburg and Cape Town. And so we have a programming team. And that one team curates the films, watches every movie, scores every movie, kind of rates them based on artistic merit and commercial appeal. And then we have a group that curates the panels and the master classes. And so we maintain a team that just keeps all the content relevant, and we deal with topics and things that relate to the industry. Some things are industry related, like directing and acting and producing, and other things are more culturally relevant. So we just have a really sound mix of things that are culturally specific and that are industry specific.
So along that line, when you visit the website, for years you saw ABFF, American Black Film Festival. In these recent years, you've seen Nice Crowds. Can you talk a little bit about the development creation of Nice Crowds, what it is, and how it dovetails with ABFF?
Great question. So Nice Crowds. So we realized, and after doing this for about 25 years, we realized the power of gathering. It goes back to the thing we talked about, where put Black people in the same place and how successful things can be. And so we expanded our company beyond the festival to other live events around the world. So in addition to the American Black Film Festival, we have a comedy festival in DC that supports emerging comics of color called Because They're Funny. We do an ABFF in London every August. We're doing a national tour called ABFF Pop-Up Tour, and we just introduced an Art Empowerment Summit in LA this past year. So Nice Crowd is an expansion of ABFF into a live events company that we produce live events that celebrate Black and brown culture.
What is it like to work with the likes of a Denzel Washington, who's probably at the top of his game, in our community? What was that like, and how did you even, get to have him, be a part of the festival? I believe it was last year.
Yeah, last year. So what most people don't know is Denzel came this very second year of the festival. So he didn't come the first year, 97, but he showed up in 98. And I tease him because we had 90 people the year he came, the first year I told you, and the year that he showed up, we went from 90 to 1,000. So he really, and if you think about 30 years ago, Denzel was as big a star 30 years ago as he is now. Most of the talent that was just kind of starting out, but he was a mega star back in 1998. So he's been supportive. And the only reason he probably doesn't come more is based on work schedule, but he's been supportive this whole ride. He's very interested in supporting the next generation. And so to have him back last year for a retrospective, it was just absolute. It was 1,500 people in the room. He was open. It was just absolutely wonderful. But that's the model for everyone. You know, like Halle Berry does the same thing. And Morgan Freeman, I didn't mention him. How could I forget him? Morgan Freeman came the very first year. I met him in a restaurant, asked him if he would come to the festival, and he trusted me, and he came in 1997. So what's really guided this thing, Kareem, is like it's the trust that the community has put in us. Like people really do, you know, to get somebody like Denzel Washington or Morgan Freeman to align themselves, even for an hour, with your organization is really a blessing, you know. And so we've had an incredible amount, and we try to be true to this mission, and which is why, and people know that our hearts are in the right place, and that we're only here to support the community.
Absolutely. So we're winding down. I have another question before. So if you could look into the future and see the evolution of Black voices in film and in television, some 10, 20, maybe even 30 years in the future, what do you hope to see?
I hope to see, and I'm not going to say more Black representation on screen. I hope to see more Black ownership. I think that we're at a critical phase in our evolution as a culture, and this goes beyond entertainment. I think that we need to promote our successes in science and engineering and law and in business and finance. And I think we need to find ways to shed light on Black success in those areas beyond entertainment. Because I think the real trap, and this ain't exactly the answer to your question, but I'm going to get there. But the real trap is the belief in our young people that all we can do is entertain. We have to shift our attention as a community on ownership. You only get paid by owning things. You do not get paid even if you're a high paid employee as an actor. There's no generational wealth. You don't leave that legacy to your kids. So I hope that as it relates to film and TV, that we'll continue to see more diversity on television. I want to see more Black families, but I also think that we find ways to do what Ryan Coogler just did to bring this whole interview full circle. I'm sure you're familiar with the deal that was cut with Warner Brothers.
Yes.
Where he gets the rights to his film back, his original IP, 25 years from now. 25 years from now, Ryan Coogler will only be in his early 60s. So if you look at the Bond franchise, the gentleman who created Bond, he's passed on, but his family runs the Bond franchise, and they license that franchise to whatever studio it is to continue to make his family legacy. It's a family asset. It's a really big deal. And we need to talk about ownership. It's a really big deal. Ryan also got first dollar gross on the film, which means that he gets paid every dollar. That's a really big deal. So I'm hoping that the financial deals that we get as we continue in education and entertainment, I'm hoping that we get broader, more favorable financial terms, and we continue to build out ownership, like Issa Rae is doing with her Hooray organization, and Lena Waithe is doing with her group. So that's really the path. It's not really seeing more Black people on screen. That's great, but that's not going to be game changing. It's really about Black ownership and understanding that this is truly a business. Yeah, you can have some fun and be creative, but this is truly a business. And you're creating assets, and you need to have ownership of the assets that you create.
You know, this has really been wonderful. And I'm certain that folks that even knew a lot about the festival have learned quite a bit about the business of filmmaking and would be encouraged, to pursue these pathways. You know, we like to say with Profound Conversations that these conversations aren't necessarily profound because we call them that. Conversations become profound because we talk about the things that are most important to us, most important, to our heart, and it creates authentic space. I want to thank you, Jeff, for participating, and I look forward to more conversations, and wishing you well for a great 2025 festival and a great 30th anniversary next year.
Next year, I want to see you there too, brother. But thank you so much. Listen, I'm always down to share any bit of wisdom that I have. I've been doing this a long time, And I want to see everybody grow and everybody thrive if you're going to pursue this path. So I'm here when you need me, brother.
Excellent.
All right. Be well.
Thank you so much.